Welcome to Magnet Marketers, our weekly live show where we break down the head, heart, and hand approach to building sustainable growth in your business. During each episode, we share actual client marketing best practice examples, strategies, and tactics that will help you generate real results. Our belief? A magnet always works better than being a bullhorn to attract, retain, and build your brand. Ready to dive into this week's Relationship Marketing Training Tuesday? Well, let's get started. Here's your host, Mike Gingerich and Jessika Phillips. Yay, hello, and welcome to this week Training at Tuesday Live for Magnet Marketers. Our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And today we're talking all about content creation, and more importantly, how to streamline it. And we have the automation Streamline queen with us to talk all about it and give you all of her tips and tricks. I'm going to warn you, you need to grab a pen and something to write with, or something to write on, because she drops those knowledge bombs rather quickly. But before we introduce our lovely guest, if we've not met before, hello. My name is Jessika Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. My goal is to help you love more and give more and be more through the art of authentic relating. And my awesome co-host, he's Mike Gingerich. And he is the president of a web development firm and software firm called Digital Hill Multimedia, published author 5 times over, triathlete, runner, biker, and leading business blogger at MikeGingerich.com. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, doing well, and excited for this one because we all need some more efficiency in our lives, don't we? I know I do. So this is going to be good, and I think this is right up the alley of so many of our listeners. So excited for this. I'm just going to dive in and introduce our special guest with us today. We have Yvonne Heimann with us. Yvonne is the leading ClickUp YouTuber, but also a highly valued consultant to its developers, as well as a passionate business efficiency consultant to live streamers. So social media managers, YouTubers, and coaches. So you're in the right place. If you need some efficiency, using her knowledge, 12 plus years running multiple businesses, helping her clients organize, strengthen, streamline their businesses into profitability and success. Her own life-changing event came in 2014 when she lost her husband to cancer. She was determined to resume her passion for building a bulletproof businesses. I love that can withstand anything. Yvonne's work is driven by a vision of the world where female and minority entrepreneurs not only make a living with what they are passionate about, but thrive and proudly wear it as a badge of honor. A world where no one is ever faced with the decision of having to put business and making money over family, loved ones, and spending time with them. How powerful is that? No more an introduction needed. I have goosebumps. Yvonne, welcome.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm like looking at all of you guys do. Let's shave off some time of all the other admin stuff we have to do.
Yes, please. Sign me up. And I actually have signed up with you before because I like the efficiency, and you are known for that. And just your brain just works amazing. Like how you help people streamline and just look and understand their business. And I don't know if anyone can see your shirt, but I think you like raise up a little bit. Like it's like a Wonder Woman logo because that's for real. Like, everywhere. She does. Yeah. That's just who she is. And so I'm surprised this is the first time we've had you on the show, but better late than never, right? Like, and today we're talking about content creation and streamlining the content. So I want to dive just right on in. Like, how do you do that? And why is it important?
Interestingly enough, I have the perfect example from a call I just had with a client this morning. How often are we in a situation where we are like, you know what, I'll just fast do that. It's just going to take me 5 minutes. And 5 hours later, we'll still work on that. Mm-hmm. I think we often just get caught up in the doing rather than looking at the actual process. And what happened for a client of mine this morning is I had them jump into a tool called Whimsical, and I had them visually lay out this flow that was going on for them. In their case, it was a client onboarding, but it really doesn't matter. If that is content, like with YouTube, it's like we are doing this live show. We know it's going to get transcribed. We know it's going to get turned into a blog post. We know it's going to get turned into little micro content. There's a workflow, and taking the time and jumping into a tool, again, like Whimsical, for me, it's the easiest. It's the easiest to use. and visually laying out those steps and connecting those, suddenly you're going to see what happened for my client this morning. It's like, oh, that's why we are so tired. Because they literally had to keep squeezing everything to get it onto the screen, because their workflow ended up about that long with a whole bunch of manual steps in there. And suddenly they visually saw of, oh, that's what we are doing. So really, really visually looking at the workflow already helps a lot to realize where those bottlenecks are, where are we getting stuck, or see what you can automate, where it's like, why am I doing this manually? We could easily connect that in Zapier and automate that. For me, it literally just happens in my head. I constantly see things everywhere, which is why my clients have a love-hate relationship with me, because I'm like, want to do this? I want to do that. I want to test this. And how about we do this? Where it's done. Yeah, Evie needs to slow down a little bit too and just plan ahead a little bit and just give bits and pieces of information rather than drop everything at once.
Got it. Now, is Whimsical some kind of tool that you recommend to get that visual?
So Whimsical it's a free tool. You don't even have to pay for it. It allows you a lot of things on the free plan. It allows you not only to lay out those flow charts like client stories, content creation, workflow. I have even laid out my content repurposing workflow with it. So that we do the same thing you guys do, starting with the YouTube video in my case, turning it into micro content to share them on social media, cleaning up the transcript to re-upload it in my case to YouTube, so YouTube is happy. Then turning that transcript also into social media posts, turning those into blog posts, turning a collection of those blog posts into courses, turning those into handouts. Yeah. All of
downloads.
Those. Exactly. Yeah. And then doing your pillar content on Medium or LinkedIn. There is so much you can do from literally just one piece of content. I'm like, you all know Stephanie Liu. We are all following kind of that same layout. But having it visually built in Whimsical also allows you to go step by step. When newbies hear this, it's like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be doing all of this? Bye. I'm not going to do anything of it because it's just so much. Seeing it visually allows you to go step by step. So rather than we're going to do all of these things at once and then not do any because we are overwhelmed, you can start with that YouTube video and the transcription because they are connected. They're easily handleable. Now we got the transcription done. Okay, look at this visual. Cool. We have those micro contents underneath. That's an easy add-on. And just piece by piece, add on to that repurposing because you were easily able to see visually how they build up on each other. Yeah. Coming back around, yes, Whimsical allows you to visually lay out that content process, do easy flow charts on what things go. It also allows you for our web designers out there to build out those frameworks and all those things, and all free.
That's my favorite price. Free. Yep. Yeah. No, you're so right. Like, I think often, with working with clients too, it's like they know they need to create content, and maybe there's someone that works within the organization, but they're not like the chief, right? And so they're getting assigned sometimes to create content or to go live and do a live show. So I think you hit the nail on the head, one of just seeing where there's gaps missing by laying it out, but also like to show, here's how much time it does take to invest and to do it right. I know we were talking before we went live here, and I was telling you like, okay, we laid out like the now workflow for magnet marketers. Like that's 90% of the content like I share, because we'll go live on here, we'll turn it into, transcribe it, turn it into a blog the next day, but all the content that comes out of that one piece of content lets us maximize it, but it doesn't mean that it's not taking up some time. It's streamlining time, but then you can also be real on saying, here's how much time I have to dedicate. So here's how we can get into a workflow and say, okay, this is how we're going to invest time. And that let me know I need to hire a Julia. Thank you, Julia, because I wanted to keep consistent with it, right? And it was something that I had to get real with, saying, like, how much time is it really taking? Even when adding in the tools, sometimes it lets you get realistic on what can you take on, how can you do it well, and not mess up to not stay consistent. So I love that you're writing it out, you're visualizing it, you see that flow, you can get into the flow, but then also it allows you to stay consistent and to not burn yourself out, with all of it.
And you brought up a really good point. That visual piece is also great for onboarding new team members, adding to your standard operating procedure, because they don't have to go through, I love SOPs, don't get me wrong, because it takes me out of the business and allows somebody else to do the job without me having to train them. But SOPs easily can turn into a handbook. And I do not have my folder here. Jessika, you know the folder that I usually use as visual, our NLP folder. It's a folder that thick. The perfect visual for SOPs. It's like you have so much written out. Your team is going to look at this full on written out SOP and be like, who reads the employee handbook? Nobody ever reads it. Everybody signs for it. And SOPs can easily turn into this. Now, a visual workflow of your SOP within Whimsical can easily visually give your team that overview to then know, okay, I have an idea. I know what's happening roughly. Now I can get into this and really see what needs to happen where. And taking this to the next step, talking about the time investment, now that you have this overlaying structure laid out, it is so much easier to actually build out your project management. Using a tool like ClickUp, when I work with clients on that, the problem often is of how do we need to set it up? What do we need to do? What tasks need to get in? Who needs to get assigned? And having this visual layout now suddenly allows, it already has the structure right there because you visually laid it out. You're just pulling out the pieces of information and moving it into your project management system. And that's where then the time estimate comes in, where, okay, let's guess how long this is going to take us. You talk with Julie and she's like, Julia. You grab Julia and you're like, okay, you went through this process a couple of times. What do you think these tasks are going to take you each? Now you easily have that time visual. And between the time estimate and a time track, you now can see, okay, we guesstimated this right. We are fine. Let's adjust it because that task took a little bit longer than we thought. And then you have that visual in the calendar of, cool, we have this show, this show, and this show. Julia is going to be working on it. But she is only working 8 hours a day. She's not working 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
And in the calendar now, suddenly with those time estimates, you can tell she actually can handle her job, or we completely overscheduled her, or there is more room to have her do a couple of other tasks and take care of this, because there is that visual of having a workload where now suddenly the jobs that were estimated for her on Wednesday are taking 12 hours rather than the 4 she's working that day.
Yeah. And I use a tool called memory.ai or Timely. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like automatically tracks your time for you. You just work and then it like follows you around. That is freaking amazing because it follows you on your phone too. And I realized like, here is where my time is going. So it's not me like thinking through like start the timer, stop the timer, right? And like, then you don't think through like, oh, but we had a 5-minute text back and forth talking about the image for the blog, right? Or, we were messaging ahead of time before the show, making sure the guests were, good to go. And we, all the other little things that so much add up, to the overall time that I think we miss. So I think like part of like streamlining, I love the tools and integration of the tools.
Yes.
No one wants 5 different, nobody needs another app first of all, like, unless it's making your life easier. And that's why I called you earlier last year. Like, I want to streamline everything. Like, please help me. But yeah, like, but I highly recommend that, especially if somebody's writing the content and doing it themselves, to see how much time is it taking you in? Is it the best use of your time? Because I know you also mentioned like outsourcing, like that's something I didn't want to do. I'm nothing against it, but I know you have some feelings on that too when it comes to your content.
Somebody knows my button. The thing is, and luckily, either way, I was able to train my algorithm to finally leave me alone, or maybe marketers have learned it. I think, about last year, I had seen so many advertisings of just outsource it. That's the solution to all your problems. No, just like automation isn't the solution to your problem. The moment you bring somebody else in and you don't have your stuff together, you're just going to add on top of it. So, and again, this is applicable no matter if you're talking outsourcing or automating. In the example of outsourcing, what's going to happen is if you don't have your workflow down, if you don't have your processes down, they don't have to be perfect. They are always changing. They are always adjusting. We are always optimizing. They don't have to be perfect. They're never going to be perfect. But if you don't at least have those ideas and those workflows out of your brain, you're going to spend 3 times the amount of time getting those tasks done than when you do it yourself. Simply because you're going to train somebody new. You then have to check what they did because they are not in your brain. How are they going to know what needs to get done, where, and how? You're going to have to show them. You're going to have to train them. Then you have to check everything to see if it was done right. And chances are you're going to do it over again because you missed a step in the beginning on telling them where to do it and how. So now suddenly, rather than the 5 minutes, that's usually 3 hours already when we do it ourselves, you now suddenly spend 9 hours training somebody to do it in a way that you know how to do it, but you didn't teach it. Yeah, you know where this is going. That's why I'm like, do not start with outsourcing. Don't. You can start as simple as take pen and paper or take your iPad and your iPencil. Write down what you are doing. Back in the day when I was building websites, I have built, I don't even know how many thousands of websites. It's the same process over and over and over again. Yet every single time I was sitting there and I'm like, did I do this? Did I check this box? Did I update that? Did I change that? Do I have that feature image? Do I have the metadata there? Having it written down, you start just writing it down. That's the easiest. Just have it sitting next to you so you don't forget about it. You then turn it digital so that you can hand it off when you're ready to outsource. But it's not even just the outsourcing. It's also your own time. The time I'm sitting here thinking about, did I do this or didn't I do that? It's going to get you out of your flow. It's going to cost you time to figure out and click there and do this and check there. Now, having this workflow ready, even as a solopreneur, means you are taking away weight off of your brain and time of thinking, and you can just do. You can just crank word out because you know what you're doing. You just need to make sure you're not forgetting anything or you have to not double check stuff. So having this workflow written out already sets you up for success as a solopreneur and preps you to outsource. True. Yeah, and it takes time. Don't get me wrong. Getting into this habit of writing those down, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah, honestly, but it's so nice because you keep it consistent. And also, like, there's nothing more frustrating. Like, okay, say you hire someone, you outsource, they take it over, they make up their own system, but you're not in the loop of it. Like, I've seen that, happen with clients before where they've hired someone and, got it on the cheap, whatever. And this person just like ran with it. And I'm like, okay, where's your log? And they're like, I need somebody to take it over. They just kind of like left, right? Like this person left. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, no worries. Like, what's the log? And they're like, I don't know. When's the last time? What's the flow? They have, have no idea. And it's like, this is your brand we're talking about here, like this is your image. So I can see like and training people, like Julia had mentioned here, having this written out. Like, I'm a huge fan of writing stuff out just so I can, like you just said, consistency, remember it too, make sure I do it, make a checklist, but also training someone else. So they have all the steps, and I know that it's going to stay consistent. It's like having the recipe for your business. Like, if you want something to taste a certain way, like, you follow that recipe every time, and that's how it stays consistent, and it keeps that flavor that you want, right? Like, so I kind of think of it that way.
And you brought up something really good. It's not even just about the processes and workflows. You are running a business. This is your life. Now, what happens if a team member leaves? We all survived 2020. We know how fast stuff can change. We know how fast somebody can get sick. And that is what I'm talking about, what I mean by when I'm talking about bulletproof your business. Having these down, having your logins, having your access, using a tool like LastPass, so you are not necessarily sharing the actual password, but you are sharing access. Having all of this in place allows you to be able to pivot. It doesn't even have to mean anything in ill will and somebody is just mad at you and going after you. One of your lovely team members might have gotten COVID, and they are literally, I'm getting goosebumps right now because we had some people that had to go through this. They are out of job. They're in a hospital. They're potentially fighting for their life. I had to learn that, where it's like, what now? I had clients where the CEO didn't even know which team member does what and how. And now suddenly that team member is gone. Now what? We can't get into our accounts. We don't know how scheduling. What did they do? Is that social media going out for that client? Is this taken care of? And they were sitting there and they're like, I don't know. So we spent weeks and weeks trying to get access back, trying to figure out where in the process the client is. And it's like, again, it doesn't have to be ill will. It doesn't have to be a 1099 that didn't work out. It could be one of your favorite coworkers that just literally cannot do their job right now for whatever reason.
Literally,
and you are standing there and you're like, I don't know what to do.
I literally just called. So my grandmother, I've been helping her like source and sort through all my grandfather's things, right? And so she can get ready for an auction. And I'm like, oh my Lord, I need like a big dumpster because my grandfather was a collector. And so I'm calling this place that I had used before, and I call them and they're like, I'm sorry, the person that schedules that, like, she's out in the hospital. She had an emergency happen. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. No worries. I'll call back. I called back like 5 days later. So this person's still in the hospital. They had no idea where the dumpsters were currently, when pickup was, where they even were. Like they could not, literally, they could not help me. A different situation, right? But same kind of analogy, right? And so I literally, I wanted to give them my money and I couldn't, because they could not find where everything was. And that is losing then you revenue, that is losing your reputation, right? Like, I felt horrible for them, but I'm like, man, it's a little unorganized over there. So I ended up choosing someone else. And like, it's the same kind of situation. You're right. Like, it doesn't have to be just somebody that's like leaving and you have some time with them, 2 weeks or whatever you want to give them to get some context around where things are. It could just be an emergency situation. So I love that you brought up that point.
And it's like we've seen it when all of this hit in 2020, beginning of the year. We all understand that life happens. But within a week or two, you should be easily able to pick up where somebody else left off. If not, I'm sorry, your business is ready to fail, because you're not going to be able to keep up with anything. You're not. And I am always the pain in the booty of everybody. I call it how I see it. It's we all do that in the beginning. We all start somewhere. We are playing it on the whim. We are going with what we know. But if you really want to run a business, and if you want to scale, and if you want to grow and go somewhere, or even continuously get money in the bank so you can pay your bills, you're gonna have to implement processes and workflows to be able to stay afloat. It just is, or you're gonna work yourself in the ground.
I love that. By the way, if you guys want these tips,
Beautiful.
like I said, write some stuff down. But if you have it, you can type recap in the comments here and you'll get the recap of our blog. And I also will include in that blog, if I don't know if you have a flow or something that we want to share, I can definitely put that in there. But we also have a live show flow template that I'll put in the comments and also in the blog as well, that if you do have a live video and you want to know like what we do for this show, as well as a checklist of things you need to think through to kind of build that plan, I'll put that in the comments so you can use it. Feel free. It's you don't even have to put your email address in for this. I'm just putting the link in here and you can grab it and use it. But it literally walks through everything that we do for part of this show to maximize the content reach and to get in the flow. This is Julia's agenda for the week.
Yeah, I am literally on my YouTube channel talking through the content repurposing workflow right now, specifically with focus on project management, using ClickUp to do all the things. So we talked YouTube content creation last week. Today's video is talking about setting ClickUp up for blog content creation. Next week is going to be the social media piece. We are then also talking about how does this all flow? It's like, cool, it's all fun. We know the tasks, but how do they actually flow? How can I automate this kind of stuff? We don't want to get into a situation where you are spending more time on project management than the actual project. So really looking at things where are things happening linear? So is it really just one task after the other? Or are they happening simultaneously? In my personal content repurposing process, things happening simultaneously. So the YouTube video might be edited, but it's not yet published on YouTube when I already need to get the transcription done because we need to upload that to YouTube. And I want to get that there before the video is published so that YouTube is happy, while also getting the chapters ready in YouTube. My chapters are getting done when the transcript gets cleaned up because, again, let's be efficient. My VA is already going to clean up that transcription. So go grab the chapters, or I do that when I'm watching through the video and getting all of my cuts in there. But again, how can we optimize the actual project management? Because often enough, if it's not optimized, if it's not automated, it's a full-time job. There is a reason why certain companies have OBMs and have project managers, but we can bring technology in for that. But that comes back around to you actually need to know what your workflow is.
Yes, it's good.
Because if you don't know what it is and what the next steps are, we can't automate that.
I love that. You guys definitely need to check out her YouTube channel. I can't believe like 30 minutes already flew by super fast. Highly recommend subscribing, hit the bell notification. I'm just going to say it for you because you just always learn something new. And you're so spot on. Like writing out your process, just writing it out or using the tool like that you've shared, several of the tools that you shared in here, you can see those moments that you can say, I need a human for this. I can use a tool for that, right? And like make the process easy, and it saves you so much time.
And little pro tip on the side. Whimsical has little icons. So what I do when I laid out the whole workflow, I find that little robot icon and I plug that into those steps that I know I can automate or I want to automate.
Oh, so fun. So
power tip right there.
Yeah, little robot. Can't use it. Love it. Yeah, so definitely check it out. Make sure to type recap. We'll give you the blog, have it sent to you automatically. Because just brilliant information. Yvonne, we definitely need to have you back here.
I'm always up for.
I always feel smarter like after I talk to you. I feel like I can conquer the world. That's why you have that Wonder Woman like emblem.
Yes.
Like yes.
Mission accomplished.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Yvonne, for being on with us today. If people want to find out more about you, where is the best place to connect?
I'm pretty much anywhere and everywhere with Ask Evie. I was lucky enough to have my username pretty much anywhere and everywhere. The content starts on YouTube. So if you want to get efficient, optimize, automate, and streamline your business, youtube.com/Ask Evie. I am in the comments. So all is linked right there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you guys, you can hire her too to do stuff, and it's well worth it. I'm just saying. Helped me a lot. So, but thank you so much again for being on with us this week. And we will be back here next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to type recap in so you so you don't miss all of the good information that Evie shared here today and all the links that she mentioned. I will make sure to have that in the recap. Hope all of you enjoy the rest of your week. Until then, we will see you next week, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right back here.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.
See ya.